now hours away from Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore's touchdown on Earth. They departed this morning from the International Space Station after being stranded in space for almost 9 months. And after a 17-hour journey, the NASA and SpaceX Crew-9 aircraft will splash down off the Florida coast around 3:27 a.m. A recovery vessel will then retrieve the 4 astronauts from the capsule. Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore had flown to the orbital lab on the 5th of June last year on what was supposed to be an 8-day mission and the first crewed flight of a Boeing Starliner. They were left stranded after the capsule suffered propulsion issues. NASA reassigned them to SpaceX's Crew-9 mission, and a Dragon spacecraft was sent in September. The Dragon spacecraft carrying a relief team docked at the space station on Sunday, and now that the undocking is complete, spacecraft is on its journey back home with the 4 astronauts. Prime Minister Modi has also penned a letter to Sunita Williams where he has recalled meeting with NASA astronaut Mike Massimino at the next conclave we hosted earlier this month, and also invited Sunita Williams to India. Well, we'll talk about this and the nuances of this touchdown. Suresh Nayak, former ISRO scientist, with us on the show. Mr. P.K. Ghosh, space strategist, joins us on the show as well. Group Captain V.N. Jha, senior scientist, also joins us on the program. Mr. Jha, I'll begin with you, sir. Sir, this is obviously homecoming for Sunita Williams, but a very prolonged, a very tiresome, and perhaps even a very unhealthy homecoming for Sunita Williams. You know, though the news is good, but it is still not over for her, is it?
Very good evening, Vineet. Lovely talking to you after a long time. Yes, it has been a sort of ordeal, I'll say, because not really an ordeal. Whenever space ventures happen, space exploration happen, there is usually a saying, unpredictability. Thy name is space explorations. And when they had gone in the Boeing's Starliner, it was a mistake, because thumb rule of any space venture is that in case if the craft is even having a slightest of a dot, even slightest of the unsensibility, it must not blast off. So that thumb rule was somehow ignored or overlooked. And even Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, these are the experienced test astronauts who test the systems. And even they should have put the recommendation there that we don't intend to take it there. Good that they went out scratch-free, but otherwise, with the faulty propulsion system, it can land up in the disaster. So, everything is good which ends well. So they have ended up well there inside the International Space Station. They have spent, of course, 9 months there, but they have not been without job. Beneath, at any given time at the International Space Station, there are about dozens of experiments which is awaiting to be done by the experienced hands or the scientists or the astronauts, if not hundreds. So Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, they also participated. They have been doing all these experimentations pending there. And so they have been fully occupied. Yes, space station is slightly stressful, especially for the elderly group. It is a bit strenuous. And being a specialist in aerospace medicine, I can tell you that right from the time they blast off, there are small strain and stresses which is experienced right from the acceleration of the blast off. Thereafter, then the microgravity of 0G when they are in the orbit. And the moment they enter into the International Space Station or they are in the 0G, there is a bit of space motion sickness usually happens to the beginners. Sunita Williams, of course, is very experienced. So those are the problems, and then the fluid redistributes in the body, face becomes puffy, cardiovascular system goes through the changes. There are changes in the sleep pattern, there are changes in the circadian rhythm. What we have 12 hours of day and night here at Earth, it becomes 45 minutes of day and night there in the orbit. So like this, many changes of their sleep becomes usually slightly disturbed. psychological factors are there. You are away from the family, especially unplanned, like Sunita had there. They must have been feeling homesick as well. So among all this and a bit of radiation challenges, which is invariably slightly more in the International Space Station, they would have been going through all this. Good that there was a company. There have been 6 or 8 of them all through this period, and now she is coming back. She is off the ISS. It has been undocked. Departure burn has taken place, 3 departure burn. But the journey has not started. In the layman's term, I can say that you have gone to the aircraft, you have boarded the aircraft has gone to the taxi track, and that is where it is awaiting the takeoff. This takeoff will happen after the clearance is being given by the ground control that yes, your destination where you are going to splash down is absolutely fine, ready for your reception. Then they will start first they will jettison the trunk part of the Crew Dragon, and then start the deorbit burn. And Vineet, interesting thing is, actual departure, actual time taken for departure from the space orbit to landing, splashing, just takes about 55 minutes, just about 55 minutes. So when they start the deorbit burn, maybe somewhere around 2:40 or early morning of our time, it will be about 55 minutes, they will splash down at the designated space. So this is what is all going to happen. There will be challenges, but then Sunita Williams has spent a lot of time in the International Space Station. 9 months is nothing much. People have spent about 600 odd days plus. So they are all used to it, and when they are in the microgravity, they continue doing some of the exercises which is mandatory. And among that, 2 most important is prevent the wasting of the anti-gravity muscle, the muscles on our back, which makes us stand erect against the gravity here on the Earth. They undergo wasting because there is no gravity there. And the bone demineralization, the calcium component, the oxalate component, they come out pretty fast because there is no loading onto the bone. So to prevent these 2, they mandatorily do the exercises 1.5 to 2 hours every day, immaterial of who it is there. So the other schedules that they follow. In addition, there are many other things. It's a big subject. Aerospace medicine as such is a huge subject. In nutshell, I can tell you that this is what they would have gone through. Yes, the entire world is waiting for seeing them back onto the Earth. Their family will be so elated, and they also must be feeling, we are coming back home. So wish them all the best. Wish everything goes absolutely as per the schedule. The SpaceX Crew-9 is completely computerized, fully computerized, automated. But still, should any emergency happen, there is an astronaut in loop into the system that they will take care of. Wish them all the best from my side as well as from the side of NewsX. Vinny.
Thank you so much, sir. Very well explained and articulated. Mr. Nayak, any challenges that await Sunita Williams space-wise when she lands on Earth? Of course, we are all familiar, with the health crisis that she may have to endure for some time because of being in space for so long.
Yeah, actually, I think some of it has been already covered by as regards the physiological changes. I mean, the physiology, psychology are the challenges, irrespective of what those bone
I think your voice is cutting off.
Loss because not doing much work since microgravity is there. Similarly, there's a muscle loss. Load, these are the load bearing, parts in your body.
Seems to be a problem with your audio. I would request you to log in again, sir. We can't hear you properly. In the meantime, let me also rope in Mr. P.K. Ghosh, space strategist. Mr. Ghosh, of course, we spoke the other day as well, sir. And of course, you articulated and told us what to expect. Has anything changed?
Well, not really. I think, as was mentioned, there's a lot of eager anticipation of the astronauts coming back. And like was mentioned, um, you know, the actual journey is not much. It is just about 1 hour or 55 minutes, but the process for this is slightly lengthy. And all the checks, pre-checks, etc., have to be done again to ensure that when they enter the atmosphere at that time, that is a bit of a dicey period because of the speeds, and the speeds are in excess of 17,000 miles per hour. So the heat built up on the capsule is tremendous. In fact, it goes up to about 2000 degrees centigrade or 3500 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can imagine one has to be very careful. Not that it affects the people inside, but the fact is that something could go wrong. This is also the time when you don't have communication. And the parachutes after that, after it comes down, you can imagine from that speed, it has got to come down to 20 miles per hour speed just before it makes a splashdown. And the sea state has to be very calm. So all the weather has to be calm, and that is the sea state when it finally makes the splashdown. Of course, the astronauts inside have to be in touch with the base as well as the ships which are nearby. And there are going to be a few ships. Now, the other thing is, what is the time that when after the splashdown, when do they open the hatch? They are got to be in touch. They will send a boat, etc., etc. So there is a laid down SOP. And just suppose if there is an emergency, etc. Again, there are SOPs laid down as to what should be the action of the ships and the rescue boats which go, etc. So this is going to be the modus operandi. After that, they'll be got on board. They will be immediately taken after that to for close medical inspection, some of which will be carried out on the ship, but the other aspect they will be sent by a chopper. So it'll be closely monitored as to what is the state of each of these. The problems in the physical body was already mentioned by Group Captain Jha. I can just add that the radiation factor is very important. And it goes up to the fact that one could be bombarded with a few thousand X-rays, chest X-rays. So you can imagine the amount of radiation. It affects the DNA. It affects the DNA of a person. But what is known is that most of it gets rectified within a short period of time. Now, the question many of the people ask is, how long? How long will they be under observation? They'll be under observation for quite some time, but they will probably get back depending on the individual. It can extend from weeks to a month or even more. So I've also been asked, will they be able to go home? Well, it is dependent whether they are medically fit. And of course, there's a debrief which is carried out, etc. So all these factors need to be considered before, they are finally let off.
Mr. Jha, obviously the concept of radiation also needs to be understood. But, for all future endeavors and escapades into the space, now that we have, such big private parties as SpaceX also coming in, what lessons are there to be learned, sir?
It's a subject very close to my heart. I have written a book onto the design concepts in human space mission. This book was written about 7 years back. So they are, look, it is the rocket science, it is the space exploration. Space is huge. You can only imagine about the extent of it. Even we may not be able to imagine the full extent of it. So that is it. But what right now we are onto is we are in the LEO, low Earth orbit. It is ranging usually in the vicinity of about anything from 300 kilometers above the surface of the Earth to about 450 odd kilometers. There are some satellites which is going slightly upper up in this also in the middle orbit also. But that is the area where right now we are on to. Space exploration, space medicine, health in the space, commercial space activity. There are some crystals, there are some alloys which are to be made, which are made in the space, in the zero gravity of the space, which is a very, very rare component. Even on the subject of the medicine, there are certain drugs which are prepared in the microgravity, which is a state of the art. It cannot be made here on the Earth. So it has got the aspects which is very, very dynamic towards the betterment of the life here on the Earth. Whether it is medicine, whether it is the engineering, whether it is the science as such. So it is happening. And this is nothing new. Earlier we know there was the space shuttle. Mir was earlier the Russian, the oldest one which was there. So there are a number of decades of the experience in the space exploration. There is nothing new about this. But still, science is something where there always be there are some questions, some explanations which will be required. That is where it is there. I can just add a few more things that your viewers will be eager to know. Right now, the space station or this Crew-Dragon is rotating, revolving Earth in the orbit at a velocity of, as Mr. Ghosh said, about 28,000 kilometers per hour or 17,000 miles per hour, about 7.7 kilometers per second. That's the type of velocity that it has got. After the, right now it has departed from the space station. Around the space station, about 200 meters on all sides is no-go zone for anything. So the Crew-Dragon has just drifted away from the ISS, and it is lying somewhere in the vicinity. I told you it is at the taxi track. It is yet to enter the runway. So after they get the indications of starting the deorbit burn, just before that, the trunk portion of the capsule, which is carrying some of the systems, subsystems, which is not subsequently required during those 55 minutes. So that will be jettisoned, and that will gradually come and again make the re-entry and burn out on that. But what is important is when it projects towards the atmosphere, if this 28,000 kilometers per hour is not controlled properly, then it happens that it may just hit the atmosphere and slip off, like what we used to throw the stones on the water surface. If it is too shallow, it will splash off, it will go somewhere else. Those are the risks. On the other hand, in case if it comes very steep into the atmosphere, the friction may be so much that it may just break off, despite it being absolutely in perfect shape. So all those intricacies are there, and that was the reason why Sunita Williams was not permitted to come back in the Boeing Starliner, because some of the thrusters were unserviceable, and if those thrusters didn't work during the deorbit, there could have been a problem. So that was the basic reason. Now here, just for another 30 seconds, when the deorbit burn starts at 2:41 in the morning, it starts, the entire system starts descending, and by about 3:27, the entire capsule will be splashing down. It's just about 55 minutes. That is the actual travel takeoff of the entire thing to come back to the Earth. So that is where we are hoping everything. Mr. Ghosh has already mentioned to you that there is a very high temperature which is going to be in the vicinity. But then the system, the capsule has got the carbon fiber which is impregnated with phenolene.
All right, sir. Appreciate your thorough commentary on this, but unfortunately we have run out of time. I'm sure we'll have many more opportunities to pick your brain on this momentous occasion, especially for Sunita Williams. We'll take a short break now. Be right back.